Ashok, welcome. Kalyani, yeah, you got the time to watch a webinar also. Very busy girl. Welcome, Kalyani. Yeah, good morning, Aditi ACA. Ashok, welcome. Prashant, good morning. Sujita, good morning, Kanna. Sweta, welcome. Good, Kalyani. Keep it up. Somi, welcome. Lalita, good morning. Good. Ajay, welcome, Kanna. Now it's a short time. Very good morning, my dear students. Today, nice topic, interesting topic. Welcome, Bharat Kumar, our faculty. Welcome, Bharat. Now, the today's topic is an interesting one, motivational topic. Instead of giving motivation from various faculties, I would like to invite one small girl to motivate you in different manner, so that your generation people going to talk mean you will be the person to take more points. Aditi, Chartered Accountant from Bangalore, basically from Udupi, now working in Bangalore. She is a manager in Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages Private Limited, and she is a all India level rank holder. No, clearing CA exam itself very difficult. Getting rank is not an easy task. She's a rank holder, and very happily I'm going to introduce. She got 89 marking in costing. That's when compared to your rank, the highest mark in my paper got what happiness too. So she got 89 mark in costing. She's a paper presenter also. She has presented the paper in CA Institute. Because of Students Committee Conference, she got the paper presentation award. Good speaker. To tell about our Aditi, not only for you, for your motivation also. Many occasions I used to say, if you cleared in the very first attempt, you have to say thanks to God. But if you are unfortunately not in the position to clear the say examination, then you have to say very big thanks to God, because God don't want to see you as a mere chartered accountant. God want to see you as a rank holder. That has been proved, achieved by our Aditi. In the first attempt, two subjects failed. I'm not degrading you, just I'm highlighting. Okay, two subject failed and no exemption also. And she has fed up what to do. No, anyway, first remaining one more 6 months are there, or another after the result, another 3 months are there. Anyway, revision for me only. For others are going to write here for the very first time. For me, it's a revision. Why don't you make use of the remaining 3 months properly? The blend in the road is not the end in the road. Again, he is prepared properly, studied properly. She got all India level rank holder. Ticket of lifelong, she is going to be called a rank holder. Nobody have the guts to ask which attempt you cleared. That itself what greatest thing. Clear? Welcome, Aditi. Now, time is yours. All are waiting to hear your voice, your advice. Please.
Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. I hope all of you are safe and healthy and taking all precautions. Firstly, I would like to thank Hariharan sir for giving me this opportunity, this platform where I can share my experiences with all of you. So I'll not really be speaking about how you have to study a particular subject or how you have to make notes. I think the faculties that we have are more uh, in a better position to give these advices. And of course, as Hariharan sir said, his advices are what helped me get the 89 marks in costing. So they are the best people to give you that advice. But there are, of course, other things, other challenges that I faced, the mistakes that I made that I would like to share with you because I feel like learning from others' mistakes is the best thing that we can do. So, as Hariharan sir mentioned, I failed in my first attempt. My first attempt was May 2018 and failed miserably. So, failed in two subjects, one in each group, did not even get 40 marks, uh, did not get even one exemption. And from there to getting an AIR in May 2019, it was a journey in itself. It required me to make a lot of changes in how I handled myself, how I handled my emotions. It required a lot of changes in how I prepared myself for the exam, mentally, physically also. So these are the things that I'll be speaking about today. I want this to be really interactive. I'll be asking questions. So please write down the answers in the chat box, and I can see the chat box here. So let me start with a question. Let's say tomorrow is your exam. Will you go for a movie today? So I want all of you to give me the answer for this. If tomorrow is the exam, will you go for a movie today? Let's say an afternoon show. So I'm waiting for the answers. Anyone? Would you like to go for a movie today if you have an exam tomorrow? No. Okay, I'm seeing no's. Right. It seems a little extreme. It seems a little exaggerated. But this is exactly what my father used to tell me. My father, the day before my boards, he told me, Chalo, let's go for a movie. So this has a reason behind it, and I will be getting back to
So the
this
next
towards
program
the
will invite
end.
your father, Aditi. Next
Huh?
program will invite your father. So then we'll give the
I'm sure he would love to. That's what he told me. He was like, next time they'll call me only, they'll not call you.
so father is the best motivator. Okay. Along students, you are also have to see the program, your father's program along with your parents. That will be useful for you.
Absolutely. So, yes, absolutely, ma'am. There's someone who's telling Aditya that there'll be tremendous pressure. Absolutely. But there is a reason behind this, and I will be touching upon this towards the end of the webinar. So, remember this. Okay. Did anyone catch the twist? I said I failed in May 2018 and I got the AIR in May 2019. So, what happened in November 2018? I decided to skip the exam. I knew I wasn't prepared. I knew that if I write the exam, I will fail. And then again, I'll be disheartened. It'll be a whole cycle. So I made the decision that I want to give a proper attempt. It's okay if it takes a little more time. I'll do it right. And so I decided that, I'll skip it. Thankfully, my parents were very supportive. They told me if you're confident, if you're comfortable, go for it. It's fine. There was, of course, advice, bona fide advice from other people, good intentioned advice that don't skip your attempt. Write the exam, it's okay. But I stuck to my guns and I'm like, no, I know myself. I'll fail if I write this exam. Then the November 2018 results came. And a lot of the people in my circle had cleared at least one group. So that was when I started doubting myself. I was like, okay, maybe I should not have skipped the attempt. I would have at least cleared one group. Maybe I should have written that attempt. And there were other people who were telling me that, you should have written the exam. So the thoughts started going in my mind. ki, okay, maybe I did a mistake. And I am a person who's naturally very anxious. I overthink a lot. So once I started thinking that, then my thoughts started going to, okay, maybe if I had studied properly for my first attempt, I wouldn't be here. Maybe I should not have wasted time. So it was just a downward spiral. It was just negative thoughts. And I think that's something a lot of us, yeah, a lot of us, feel sometimes, where we have these negative thoughts in our brains. We doubt ourselves. We question our decisions. And there was this one thing that helped me at that time a lot. And it's a principle called uncontrollable factors. So it's time for another question. We are all finance people here. If you have a limited resource, or if you have a limited amount of something, will you make an investment in anything that gives you negative return? Not even zero, it's negative return. Will you invest? So let's see what your answers are. Wait, not able to see any answers, guys. Will you invest if you do not get any returns? And if you get negative returns, you end up losing more money. It's not very prudent to do that. No. Yes, thankfully, a lot of no's, a lot of prudent finance professionals here. So, our time and our energy are limited resources that we have, right? And for example, people who are writing exams in July, the 1 month of time and the energy, it's limited. So, if I am investing all of my time and energy in thinking about things that have happened in the past, uh, it's just, it's non-productive, it's counterproductive, because not only am I losing those hours, not only am I losing that energy, my mind will still be in a negative uh, mindset, and going forward I'll not be able to be productive at all. So I started doing this thing where every time a thought came into my mind which was negative, I stopped for a second and I asked myself, can I do something about it? The decisions that I made, can I change them now? No. I can only focus and I can only make sure that going forward, I learn from my mistakes, I don't repeat them, and I put my energy and time into productive channels. And I know it sounds like something you read in a self help book, but it works. It really works. And for someone like me who has a lot of anxiety and overthinking, it has helped me in a lot of aspects of my life. So, the first thing that I want you to take away from this webinar is just focus all your energies, channel all your energy, channel all your time into productive channels, into productive avenues, and everything that helps you to be more productive, and it will really help you out. So that was the first thing that I wanted to speak to you about. Um, Moving forward, regret of the past and fear of the future are very fitting siblings. I'm sure all of you have seen Raju Rastogi from Three Idiots. Just before my first attempt, I was 10 times worse than Raju Rastogi, minus the rings. I did not have the rings, but I was definitely very scared. Um, I would keep thinking, ki, what if I fail? I will disappoint everyone. I will disappoint my principals. I will disappoint my family. I will disappoint myself. It's a it's a very weird state to be in, because that fear overwhelmed me so much. I would spend hours watching YouTube videos, or I would just lie on the couch. I would not do anything. I didn't want to speak to anyone, because speaking to someone would, if someone told me कि मेरा तो इतना chapter हो गया, मेरा revision चल रहा है, I would become even more scared. And it was a vicious cycle. Because of the fear, I was incapacitated. I was not able to study. because of this not studying, again I was feeling unprepared and I was becoming afraid. It was just a vicious cycle. And finally my worst fears came true. I failed. So I failed. I was devastated. Then one day my father came, sat next to me, and he asked me, "What's the worst thing that can happen?" And I said, "Okay, I don't clear the next attempt." So he's like, "No, what's the worst thing that can happen?" It's like, okay, maybe I never clear the CA exams. I dread to even think about that. Like, I cannot think about it. I'll never become a CA. And he's like, okay, God forbid that happens and you don't become a CA. You can still do something with your life. You have the capacity in you, you have the capability in you to do something with your life, to grow, to learn, to make something of yourself. It's not the end of the world. And it was not an immediate thing, but my fear started to go away because I realized that even if the worst came to worst, I could still be okay. I would still find a way to make things work. Maybe it wasn't the outcome I wanted, but even in the worst case scenario, I would be fine. So once I knew that, I lost the fear slowly and I was able to be in a better headspace to study more efficiently because the thoughts were not always occupying my headspace. So the second thing that I would really want you people to do, and I think at this point of time where things are so uncertain, with everything that is happening, it's a very challenging situation. It's a very challenging time for all of us. Um, Fear is very natural. Fear is very, very natural. But um, it's very important to know what is grounded in actual facts and what is just your imagination in terms of fear, because it sometimes is just our imagination that keeps on overemphasizing some things. So know all the outcomes, know that you'll be okay even in the worst of the outcomes, and do your best and you'll be fine. I promise you, you'll be fine because all of you out there have the capacity to reach great heights. So that's very important. It is very liberating, trust me. It really helped me to just lose that fear, to know that the worst outcomes is still not the end of the world. So that's the second thing that I want you to understand. Now, these were the two things in terms of handling myself emotionally. And I feel like we don't usually speak about this. We speak about how to approach a subject and stuff, but we don't speak about these things. But do not ignore your emotional health or your mental health. It's very important. Only if you're in the right mindset, your studies will be effective. You'll be able to concentrate better. So don't be afraid to ask for advice that is related to these things. It's really important, and do speak out about it. So next, I'll move to the next part of my webinar, which is related to preparing myself mentally and physically for the exam. So does everyone? I'm okay. I'll again ask a question. So simulators or simulation. There are two industries in particular that usually use simulation. So I'll wait for a few seconds. You can give any answers where you think industries where simulators are used, but there are two industries in particular where they are used. So I'll wait for a few seconds and do answer. And I'll take a water break also. I'm unable to see any answers. Any guesses? I can give some hints if that helps anyone. One of them is related to planes. Okay, I just gave away the answer. So, and another one is related to weapons. So I saw FMCG. Okay, that's true in FMCG. Any other guesses? Any industries that come to mind when I speak about simulation? Mining, share market, testing. Okay, yes, perfect. So the two that were in my mind were aviation and defense. But yes, I think Aditya is asking if I can repeat the question. So Aditya, I was asking if simulation. So we have this concept of simulation where the actual conditions are simulated in a controlled environment, right? So I see construction, I see airlines, cricket, yes, absolutely. So a lot of answers and fairy wanderla. So I'm not sure who that is, but airlines is the one industry that I was thinking of. But all the others are also true. Train operators, construction, mining, all of them. Thank you all for participating. Uh, it really makes it good if there's interaction. Education industry, air transportation. So the two industries in particular that I had in my mind were aviation industry and defense. Now, in these two industries, you need to have very quick reflexes, and you need to have the ability to make decisions very fast, but there is very low margin of error. So you have to have quick recall, you have to have muscle memory, and all of that means they need to be trained for it, right? Our exam halls, or those 3 hours of exam, are also like a war zone, I can say, because even, of course, that's not a very correct comparison to make, so no offense there. But what I mean to say is, even in an exam hall, you need to have really quick reflexes in terms of, okay, I see this question, this is what I'm going to do. Or you need to have a really good recall ability. You need to have a good ability to perform under stress and under pressure. So, in this case, how much of time do we really spend preparing ourselves for those 3 hours? Next to nothing. We are so engrossed in finishing up our syllabus, we don't spend any time preparing ourselves for those 3 hours. And the performance in those 3 hours is actually what matters. Because whatever we study, all the months that we have, finally boils down to what you write in those 3 hours. So even if we have studied really well for say 6 7 months, but we are not able to recall it in those 3 months, in those 3 hours, I mean, it's down the drain, and it's a really sad thing because we've really put in all the hard work. So for my first attempt, I did not write any of the mock tests because I was scared. I thought that if I write the mock test and I get low marks, I'll become demotivated, and so I did not write any of the mock tests. But for the second attempt, I wrote almost all the mock tests, and I made it a point to write many papers per subject. And the way to do that is I would sit in my room 2 to 5, which was my exam timing, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and I would replicate the exam conditions. So I had the 15 minutes reading time, no mobile phone. I had those papers. I would have a question paper printed, and I would sit like I was in the exam hall. And I did this over and over and over again. So when I did that, the exam hall was not a new place for me. It was not a new place for my brain. So when I finally went to write the exam, I was not panicking. I was, of course, a little nervous, but I was not panicking. My brain was already tuned to the examination conditions. My body was already tuned to the examination conditions. And I was able to recall things really well. So it's really important that you tune yourself to the examination conditions. So please, please, please write the mock tests. If possible, write other papers also, past question papers if possible. Replicate the examination conditions, whatever your exam timings are. If possible, use the same pen also. Trust me, the familiarity of the conditions, it will make you feel calm. So that is really, really important. And it also helps you strategize. So our attempt, we had MCQs for the first time. Only because I wrote the mocks, I knew how I wanted to go about the MCQs. Like I knew that I wanted to write the MCQs in the end. Maybe you would want to write it in the beginning. Or time management, whether you want to do practical questions first or theory questions first, how you want to go about it. So it's really good with strategizing also. So make it a point to prepare yourself for those 3 hours for your battleground. So that's very, very important. Now I'm moving to the last part of my webinar today, and that is relaxation. So this will be in two parts here: relaxation during your studying period and relaxation just before exam. Uh, for me personally, I avoided Instagram, I avoided social media, and that was a personal choice because I when I see a person, I know it's shallow, but I also feel it's human. If I would see someone else partying or I would see some other people traveling somewhere, I would feel this pang inside me. Ki, yaar, I'm sitting over here and studying, other people are enjoying. And I know everyone's journey is different, but that thought would be there sometimes. And then it would be there at the back of my mind. Um, so I made it a point to not be there on Instagram. Even WhatsApp, I was very limited because, again, I did not want to indulge in any negative conversations. So my relaxation was going out and playing with my cats or dogs, or I would just take a walk, or I would listen to music, things that calmed me down, things that did not exert my brain. I would watch comedy clips from Big Bang Theory or Friends, which are series that I like. So, things that were limited to the break, things that would not seep into my study period, things that would not disturb my mind, because that just beats the point of relaxation then. So, this was, of course, a personal choice. All I'm trying to say is make sure that the relaxation methods you opt for are not something that affect your productivity once you get back to your study table. So, I think that's something, it will vary from person to person, definitely. So, that's a choice that you have to make. Uh, I would speak to some people, if, especially people who are really positive. So it's really good to speak to them, people who are always forward looking. It's really good to speak to them, you know, just feel inspired. So you can definitely choose what you want to do, but just keep this in mind that it should help you relax and not perturb you more. And relaxation just before exams. So, relaxation just before exam. Now, coming back to what my father used to tell me. Uh, okay, I'll share something. If you ask anyone from my class, either in my school or in my college, one thing about me before exams, they'll definitely tell you this: she's mad. Because just before exams, I would be strolling in the corridors, or I would be singing songs. I would be just standing and deep breathing outside. You would never see me with a book, ever. And everyone else would be like sitting with a notebook and just studying before exams, all nervous. And they would all give me a side eye. Uh, so that is something I'm sure they'll all tell you. Now, the reason why I used to do that is to allow my brain to be organized. If you keep throwing information at your brain till the last moment, it'll just be overwhelmed and it'll panic. It'll not know what to do because you're throwing so much information at it. It's already nervous, it's already anxious, and then it'll just blank out. It will just shut down its doors, it will shut its windows, and it will be like, Jo karna hai karo. And that happened with me. Like, I actually went against my own advice. First attempt, I was so nervous. I was studying till the last moment, and I blanked out in a couple of exams actually. So, the second attempt, I made sure that I did not study on the day of the exam. I would just look over the points, never open the book, because if I open the book, I see something which I have not seen before, or which immediately my brain does not recognize. Then I'll become nervous and lose my senses. So just going over, just flipping through the points, maybe uh, even the day before, very light revision. Not getting any new information, not giving my brain any new information at that time, and I was fine. One more thing that I never did was discussing just before exams. Please don't do that. And I know a lot of people are cursing me right now, but don't discuss before exams. Because if you ask someone a question and they don't know the answer to that, they will become nervous, and it's vice versa. If they ask you something you don't know, you'll become nervous. And that will be very counterproductive. It will be very bad for the state of mind at that time because you'll start panicking and you'll become anxious. So I think it's very important. So this is why my father would tell me the day before exam, let's go for a movie. Let's go and just watch a movie and relax. Don't overburden your brain, and you'll be fine. Because if you have not been able to finish this part in the last so many months, you're not going to be able to cram it in the last few hours. And trying to do that, you will actually hinder your brain from being able to recall everything that you studied in the last so many months. So it is just very, it's countering all of your efforts because your brain will then just stop functioning. So that's the fourth thing that I want you to take from this webinar. And it really feels great to share my experiences. I'm open for any questions that anyone may have. And yeah, and again, thank you, Hariharan sir, for this opportunity that you have given me. Thank you for all of the things that you're doing for students. You're doing so much, all of these webinars, and I think all the students should really make use of this. I think all the students should really make use of all the resources that faculties like Hariharan sir are putting out. It's a good time, and we have the resources, so please make use of it. And thank you, Hariharan sir, from the student side also. Thank you so much.
Good, Kana. Good. Very good, Aditi.
Thank you.
Because of your coolness and a smiling face, you got all India level rank. Not only you, your friend Vaishnavi also cleared. Okay, she has placement in the ENY. She's working in ENY transfer pricing. I'll invite her to talk. And Aditi told, you can relax yourself. You can be in the position to watch the movie, provided first you have to finish your studies. Okay, so the main product is studying. By product only you can watch and enjoy the movie. And all along, if you are going to enjoy, and the day before exam also, if you want to watch the movie, it's very difficult to clear. Understood? So since already she wrote one attempt, and again she has studied for the 3 months properly, and in between for the relaxation, she watched movie. Take it in the right sense. Okay? You will underline only the movie alone. The remaining part you will forget. Other 3 months, 6 months preparation you will forget. Okay? Now, I would like to invite Bharat Kumar, our faculty. He want to share some info to you.
Thank you, sir. Hi,
Yes.
Aditi. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Okay. So, when you were talking about fear, I just understood one thing. When you were talking about the movies, I was telling to the student when I was taking ITSM, you need to visualize and you will be able to get it. One fellow said, sir, I visualized the whole night and the next day before the exam, I was not able to recollect the point. And then I understood he was only visualizing, but he did not even
Bharat
touch
Kumar.
the book.
Bharat Kumar. Aditi is speaking in the 3G mode. You are speaking in what, a 10G mode.
Four,
Okay.
oh my God. Okay, okay.
Hmm.
So it is like that, sir. So it depends on, we need to get lottery prize. For that, we need to get a lottery ticket first. So put in the effort, and then automatically it has to be done. Maybe I have a question, because from the student's perspective, I'll ask you this question. On the day of exam, tell me that you will stop after a point of time, maybe like 11:30, 12. You will stop studying, because that's the best way. It is like opening up the water in the bucket, and once after a point of time you need to close the everything, and then only then it gets settled, otherwise it will start overflowing. So this is a very easy for us to understand, but can you tell me, so that it will be helpful for people, what will you do right from the start on the exam day, right from the morning, like maybe like till 11:30, 12, so that
Hmm.
people will know where to stop? Many people know how to start, but they do not know where to stop. So can you just tell me, it will be helpful for our kids also?
Absolutely, I would love to. So, again, so something like this, it depends on the subject. So, for example, if it's a theory subject like, let's say, law, or if it's a theory subject like audit. So, when I was studying, I had made notes, or I had highlighted sentences in the practice manual that were being used again and again, which I knew were recurring in the questions, in the suggested answers. So on that day in the morning, I'll just go through those highlighted portions to recollect, okay, these are the sentences I need to use in my answers. Then, if it's a practical subject like maybe FA or AMA, when I was solving the questions, if there was some twist in the question or some twist in the solution, I would highlight it, write it in a bright colored pen, right, red or blue, when I was solving it. So I would
Okay.
go through all my practice books and see those points that, okay, for this twist I had done this, for this twist I had done this. So on the last day, I was not going through each and every answer, and I was not going through each and every solution. I was just recollecting what I had done, in certain cases, things that I had highlighted, for example, or flowcharts that I had made. Flowcharts are an amazing tool to use if you can make points and if you can make flowcharts. So the flowcharts that I had made. So things like that which are easy to go through, because if you have long paragraphs to go through just before exam, it can take up a lot of time and it can be a little tedious for the brain as well. So it'll just tire your brain. So I would do things like this which are simple to revise and quick to revise. So that's what I used to do. So I had a different approach for each subject. I think one another thing that a lot of us end up doing, which I had also done, we think one glove fits all or one brush for all, but every subject needs its own strategy and its own approach.
Yes.
I think that is something really important, which I realized while I was doing my second attempt, that it's very important for you to know your subject before you start reading your subject. The first attempt, I was like, kitna padna hai? Let's just start reading. I did not bother looking into what was there in that subject. But it's really important to know your subject. It's very important to know how you will be approaching each subject.
Yes.
That's really important. So I I had thought of how I'll be revising while I was studying. So I made provisions for that.
Okay. So in short, you did not touch on the materials on the exam day. You were only with your handwritten notes, and you know exactly what you're going to do till the examination starts. So that's
Yes.
a real big takeaway for people, because many people open up the books and they sit in the middle of all those books. The moment when they see institute material, they think about practice manual, because it's all monkey mind. So they jump from one place to another place. By the time they go to the exam, what exactly they thought in the morning they should do, they should have forgotten. Apart from that, all those things they should have done, right? So okay.
Yeah, because
Now,
we'll open one book and then we are like, oh, this is there, but I didn't see this. So then we'll open the
yes,
study material and then we'll call
yes,
up someone, yeah, ye pada tumne, ye, where is this? I can't find this. So
Yes.
it's just an ongoing process. It will never end. So
Only
we
in
have to
exam hall, yeah, only
start
in exam hall, faculty face will come, which academy will come, what all the books they referred will come. Other than answer, everything will come.
Correct.
And the
Correct.
worst part is you can remember the page. So you remember that this thing was there in the top left corner, but you can't remember what it is. That is the worst thing. That's really
Correct.
bad.
Now, for the exam, we usually say the right side of the brain should work because that only will give you that positivity. When you suddenly get struck, you may not know how to proceed. So, the left side of the brain will think about the page numbers, left side, that, this, and all. Exactly that 3 hours, we will have a short term memory loss, maybe a 3 hours memory loss. And
Then after
after
right side
we
will be left.
left
Left.
will, that's exact. So, the moment when you come out of the exam hall, you remember all the questions and the discussion with the friends that you are talking about, we totally understand because you would have got some 40 as an answer, but the students who are discussing will have some 40,000. You will not even near be them, and you will not know how to proceed. And if you go and ask them, they will confuse you even more. So it is
Even
better that we
Aditi's
don't.
class also, in Aditi's class also, when I was solving the past exam costing question for final, they said past exam question are very easy, sir. Not only every batch will tell, everybody will feel our exam only difficult, past exams are very easy.
Easy. Okay. Aditi, I have one more question. Now, you getting an all India rank is fantastic with the blessings of gurus like Hari sir. It is all like fantastically done. But many people may not know what is the transformation that you did from the first attempt to the second attempt. That connection, because it is not about always the success. The way that you travel for that success is more enjoyable than getting the success itself, right? So, what is the transformation? What made you think when you know that you've already flunked in the exam? And what made you do that? We would not have aimed for rank when we studied for the second attempt, maybe for your exam itself. We would not have thought about it. You would have enjoyed it to the maximum possible extent, and that would have fetched you rank. I totally understand. But what is that scratch that gave you a starting point to ensure that now I'm going to study for my life and not just for exams? What was that two, three things which you always had in your mind whenever you get struck with your monkey mind? Can you just elaborate on it because many people will be helpful?
Absolutely. I really love the word you've used, monkey mind, because it totally describes how mind can actually be. They say that mind is like a horse. It's really
Yes.
important to have the reins in your hand. So otherwise, it just keeps galloping everywhere.
Yes.
So, apart from the things that I spoke about, like overcoming the fear was, of course, one very important thing for me, because the fear does not let you work. It does not. It will always keep you constricted.
Yes.
But apart from that, I think one another change that really happened in me was how I approached the exam. The first time, the exam and its result was the end of the world for me. I'm like, exam, exam का result क्या आएगा? My mind was fixated there. But the second time around, I was approaching it more from the point of, okay, what is there in this subject that I can learn? Let me learn the subject. Let me get this knowledge. Knowledge doesn't go in vain.
Yes.
So I am, of course, studying to pass, no doubt. That is there in my mind. I want to pass it this time. I'm writing both exams together. I'm writing both the groups together. I have skipped one attempt, so I have taken extra time.
Yes.
I have to do this right. So I'm going to give it my all. But in the back of my mind, the thought was not the result, the thought was the process. How much am I learning in the process? What knowledge am I gaining? Because at the end of the day, even if I don't clear, I have that knowledge. I can do something with it. That knowledge will never go waste. So even today, when I'm working, I am using a lot of the knowledge that I gained. So I think that is very important. That approach is, I think, it helps. This is, of course, a person to person thing, but I believe that this approach really helps. When you're opening a book from the point of view of learning something new,
Yes.
rather than opening the book from the point of view of what will I write in the exam if this comes.
Yes.
So it really helps in absorbing it. So that was one. major change, I think, in my approach towards the exam itself that had changed the second time around.
Okay, great. So pleasure was dominating your pressure, right? As simple as that.
Absolutely. You are master with these lines. I have to learn these from you.
I again direct it to Hari sir, because directly you getting it from him is easy. So because I took it only from him. I still remember this exact June month, like 5 years before, when Hari sir was asking me to take ISKA for the first time. I just went up to him and said I can do something about teaching. And Hari sir said, "What you wanted to do?" I said, "I will take ISKA. I'll give you half an hour time. Can you try half of the syllabus completion?" The one thing that I wanted to think is the two things that I had is forget everything and run home. So fear, forget everything and run. So that was one and the point. Next, face everything and rise. So the second was more dominant because meeting Hari sir at that time was a real big thing, and I was just visualizing the result. This was a completely opposite to the CA exams. I was thinking, if Hari sir says okay about ISKA, yes, you can manage, what is that I should have done? So I started with half an hour but ended up with 1.5 hours, and I was able to get some 2-3 standing ovations also. And obviously Hari sir would have guessed by seeing me the first time itself. So I still remember the gift that he gave me. I still treasure it for a long time. It has been like 5 years nostalgia. The same June month, I went to him, and I am now taking up 3-4 subjects. And now, recently, because of blessings of Harisar, I'm empaneled in ICA also for taking up 4 subjects. So I still remember it is because of the second word that I remembered, fear. So I was able to do something. So exactly, you did the same thing too. So maybe what we can infer to the people who are coming to the next generation is, don't expect the result immediately. Work for it, and it is going to come you to the right time. Visualize only positively, and automatically everything should come. So I wanted to share my nostalgia moment so people can take something from it and just proceed further. And if you are in the right hands, the right time will automatically come to you whatsoever. So that is the main thing that we wanted to take from this webinar. So thank you so much, Aditi, for bringing up all these things, the whole travel you getting an all India rank, and we are so happy that you are here for this session.
It was really my pleasure. I'm so happy and so glad I was able to be a part of discussion, because I also learned from the things that you spoke about. So it's always a pleasure, and it's always a pleasure to see webinars like this. We can learn so much. And I always say that, we make mistakes, we learn, and then other people, when they share their experiences, there's so much to gain from it. Every person has something to offer.
Yes.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, we can take what we can relate to, and we can, not take what we don't feel good about, but we can always learn. We can always learn. There's so much to learn. So, faculties like you doing so much for the students, on behalf of the students, I would like to say thank you, because I really benefited from faculties doing so much for us. So, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. So for these webinars, I think Hari sir is taking up too much of time in bringing up all the faculties for all these webinar sessions. I become a student because the people whom I look up to are all coming up to the webinar sessions, and it is all because of Hari sir. I owe all the success to him, because right from the start he was there, and I now become the second time a student to ensure. Yesterday Ramasamy sir was there, who is the real big person in direct tax, and Shetty sir was there from Bangalore, and Sampath sir was there from Bangalore, and we always look up to those people. We could not meet them in person, but during the pandemic, getting them getting their own things and getting their experiences just half an hour, 1 hour, and then connecting with a new set of mind from your side. It is all because of Hari sir's efforts. So thank you so much, sir, for these efforts. We are again trying to learn more from you, sir, as always.
Not only, even students also I'm inviting.
Yes.
Whoever achieved the success, instead of we motivating our students itself going to motivate. Just only she has cleared. Aditi also cleared. So I used to call all our students also. So try to participate, and whoever is watching our webinar, soon I will invite all the students. Sooner or later, you have to clear the CA examination, and you have to participate as a speaker instead of mere spectator. So
Absolutely.
Tomorrow we are having program. We are having daily program. Last 1.5 months during the lockdown period, we are utilizing the time for the purpose of giving knowledge to our student. Tomorrow, wonderful session. Evening 5 o'clock, we are having webinar, 1 hour webinar. J. Murali sir, Jagannathan Murali, J. Murali sir, practicing chartered accountant. He is an indirect tax specialist in Chennai. He is going to address our students for registration under GST. The topic naming registration under GST. Don't miss the opportunity. It will be more helpful for examination as well as articleship period, articleship purpose. So kindly make use of the webinar properly. Inform your friends also. Thank you, Aditi. Your session is really wonderful and motivating for all the students. Good.
I'll just take a moment and say all the best to everyone who's watching this. Stay safe once again, and believe in yourself and just give your best, and you all have the capacity to do great guns. So all the very best and stay safe.
Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Bharat Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.